don't tell anybody. You are officially let in as a fly on the wall for this BA meeting. I'm talking Ballbusters Anonymous. Okay, we are going to be talking today about what happens when you throw people under the bus for the sake of social justice, equality, every PC thing under the book, and set things all the way from a reputation like Blake Lively to cities literally like LA on fire. So today to talk about all of this is the Samara Gill. She is fabulous. She speaks her mind. She's well informed, intelligent. She gives very little fucks, okay? She is a host at Talk TV and she joins us all the way from across the pond. I'm so excited to have her. I'm such a huge fan. So welcome, Samara, to Talk to Me, Taylor. We have, as you put it before we hopped on, you have massive words. So without further ado, let's get to it. Deemed the celebrity whisperer by Playboy.
This is the best interview of the day.
Thanks for having me.
You hit the nail on the head.
100%.
Period, yeah.
Touch them. They're cracking me up.
Wear them, baby. This is good.
Taylor Ferber.
It is such an honor to be here, Taylor. Honestly, I'm a massive fan, so the feelings are all mutual. And I just want you to sort of write something for me in the future to speak so highly of someone as low as me. I'm a fan.
No, that's the UK humor talking self-deprecating. I love all of it. Although you're an Australian gal.
Yeah, but we have the exact same problem. We just like to cut ourselves down. It's our sport.
It's what we do.
Sport.
But you know what's so funny, Samara, is I feel for you because you're so vocal on all these issues. And like I said, you're so educated and you have such a brilliant political Substack. Like you are multifaceted. And I was speaking with an Australian the other day. Maybe it was on my show. I don't know. I have amnesia like Joe Biden. But they were like, Australia, you think it's like laid back, like surfer. And they are like the worst, uptight, woke PC. So, and now you're in the UK, I don't know that you can escape it.
Taylor, you are bang on. It's completely right. I just got back like 2 days ago from Australia and I was so surprised. I tried to take a photo at the border security to be like, oh, I'm back in Australia. And a police officer came up to me and basically said, you have to delete that photo right now. You're not allowed to take any photos in the airport, etc. No. And I'm thinking, okay, great. I've entered back into authoritarian land and it's insane. I was talking to family members and I was sort of in my anti-woke bubble. I obviously work for Talk over here as well, which is a whole other thing. And we're very anti-woke. And the family members were shocked at my rhetoric. And I was just thinking, oh, did I do something wrong? Did I touch upon a bad chord? But it's like the general consensus over there. There's a lot of groupthink going on. So you're totally right.
Well, I know that the UK is uptight too in so many ways and mirrors what's going on in the US a lot. So all I have to say is, Samara, like if you just blink twice, girl, if you need us to come in wherever you are and we will come and retrieve you. But just before we like get into the shitstorm, literal firestorm of it all, because I know you have thoughts, I can't wait. Just kind of big picture. I'm curious for your thoughts on big UK pundits weighing in on what's going on over here in the States. Like what it says, you have everyone from like the Piers Morgans to the Russell Brands, and they'll often acknowledge, I know Russell Brand he'll be like, look, I'm chiming in on the election. I know I don't live there. I'm not there, but XYZ. So kind of general thoughts being over there of who you dig, who's overrated, and why weighing in on what's going on over here, like how there are implications of what may be going on in the UK, Australia, what have you. Like what are general thoughts there?
That's a really good question. I mean, over in the UK, we are absolutely obsessed with you guys. I think that especially those involved in the anti-woke movement, we almost see America as sort of like, is this what's going to happen in 5 years' time to Britain? We hope so. At least I hope so. Fingers crossed. I think that we look to you guys. You guys are always ahead of the curve with everything. But yeah, your Piers Morgans, I mean, I'm good friends with Piers. I think that he basically considers himself half American, half British, in a really obnoxious way. I think he wouldn't mind me say, I'll say it to his face if he wants to know. But, we really look for inspiration. And I think the Trump presidency will be looking with very keen eyes as to what that brings for your country, because at the moment we're in total turmoil over here. We have a very left-wing government.
Yes.
We're locking people up for things that they say on Twitter. I mean, these are things like free speech.
No. You know what? Fuck it. Don't blink twice. Blink 3 times, okay? Actually, blink 3 times.
I have a whole spasm on camera because it's just like I'm going a little bit mad here.
That's how we know you sent a quote misinformation tweet. No, I've talked about it at length on my show. It's absolutely absurd.
I know you have. You're one of the good ones. You're a pioneer of this, and you'll be laughing in a couple of years' time when the whole diaspora changes and the zeitgeist changes into that. And we're already seeing it in America because you guys are, as I said, really ahead of the curve with this stuff. So we're just watching.
Okay, until then, we may all have to, you said you're one of the good ones, like we have to stick together. We may coalesce and live in like a bunker somewhere until we
I'd be down to live in a bunker with you any day.
Literally same. Until we all emerge, you know, in the common sense political party of our dreams. Speaking of censorship, kind of fun random question. I thought of you prepping for this app because I had a panel that was really fun and really sort of eye-opening and enlightening on my show a year or so ago with 2 female broadcasters, different backgrounds than mine, like both hard news, one kind of in sports, you know, one and now has merged into music, but they were talking about dressing as a female in somewhat trad media platform, right? And how they had this push and pull because they wanted to dress in their feminine, sexy power, but would get shit, be it from bosses, viewers. We know the same old song and dance, right? Like it's distracting. Someone's wife's gonna watch this. So as someone, because your show and what you do is very kind of like what you guys talk about isn't so traditional, but the style and the format definitely has that polished look. So what are your thoughts? How do you balance that? Do you ever want to like go outside the box more? Do you reel it back? How do you kind of walk that line?
That is so interesting because I mean, I know in sort of Los Angeles where you used to live and, you know, the typical traditional media that you do, there are expectations to how you would dress. You're almost like a performer, you know, if you're going to go meet Tucker Carlson, like I know you did, then you're going to, you know, dress in something maybe different to if you would meet Russell Brand, for example. But you're right about the show that I do, especially weekly, when what just happened, where it's a difficult thing to play because we've got a very big male audience. They're mostly sort of like middle-aged males. But I don't really think about that too much. I kind of wear what I feel comfortable in. I find that tight stuff tends to look better on camera. That's literally my logic behind it. So I'll just go and put that on. But you're catching me on a day where I've been producing. So I'm just wearing sort of behind the scenes, like the most sort of frumpy outfit you'll ever see. So I apologize to your viewers, but I don't know. For me, this year, I've wanted to embrace the fitness. I remember you had a year where you're like, this is when I'm going to lock in. This is when I'm going to get like, I'm going to like live my foot to my fullest potential. And I'm thinking to myself, yeah, that's what I should be doing. Because I was looking at some camera angles a couple weeks ago and I was like, Samara, good Lord, like you need to chill out with the Christmas puddings and you need to lock in like Taylor. For me, when it comes to dressing, I just dress whatever I feel comfortable in that day. Like as a lady, I've got good days, bad days.
I was going to ask what you feel most comfortable in. And, you know, be careful what you wish for. Because I notably, just because I feel most empowered and free, not to sound like cheesy, rah-rah feminist by any means. Actually, a lot of traditional feminists would hate this because it's like you're giving into the male gaze and objectify blah, blah bullshit. We all know that. But I just go like with stuff like this, braless, whatever. But I didn't realize that this boob, for example, would just be like,
braless? Good Lord. Whatever she's having, I'll take it.
I didn't. I'll have what she's having. I was going to say, be careful what you wish for because I did not anticipate. We know how the camera angles work, that this boob would be taking over, you know, like said LA wildfire that, you know, no one asked for. So
we all have a boob that wants to take over and we just need to let the boob live. Okay. That would be my mantra to life.
The audacity. But I don't know how you feel. perfect segue actually into the LA fires, because you were talking about looking like a certain way with like the Christmas puddings of like these Christmas puddings and like certain angles, whatever. Did you see the video of the ABC anchor, what's his name, David, who did the debates with the clothespins?
Oh my God, yeah, I did
jacket.
see that. I was like, is that why you look so snatched? Like, my Lord.
He's wearing like a Skims North Face outfit underneath. No.
I wouldn't be surprised with the LA fires if he was like, you know, sitting up with his Skims or like trying to put a product placement in there. I did see that. I saw people that were like, no, he's doing that because it's gonna flap in the wind and it would, you know, it would like mess up the microphone or something. But I was like, no, he knows his angles. This guy is vain as hell.
No, it is what it is. I felt, I was like, I had to push and pull because at one end of it, I was like, exactly. I'm like, he's snatched. He basically has like the corset on. He knows the angles. But then at the other end, I'm like, this is a dire situation. Like, how would this thought even cross your mind? Like, wouldn't you just throw that shit on and be like, all right. But anyway, journalism for humanity, everybody.
Kind of struggling to do the zip up on my dress, and it, you know, I'll say to the cameraman, you know, don't get that angle because half my dress is open at the back. Whereas this man snatching himself, I mean, it's the LA vibe. I expect nothing less.
Actually, you're completely right. So on brand. So on brand. Okay, speaking of on brand for LA, let's get into this. Let's just set the table for everybody as if they don't know. So the LA fires, complete shit show, entire, literally blocks, cities, just decimated. Absolutely devastating. You look at it, it is literally like a dystopian horror movie. And so what have you, but, okay. You have the people calling out the fire chief as a DEI lesbian hire, but they really like her. Okay. You have everybody throwing Mayor Karen Bass and, of course, slimy Gavin Newsom under the bus. You have actresses, I don't know if you know this, Samara, who are saying everyone's throwing Karen Bass under the bus just because she's Black. You have Gavin, wait for it, having the audacity to somehow blame Trump for the backlash to the fires, like the math ain't mathing. But you also have celebrities from Khloe Kardashian, you have Spidey, you have Whitney Cummings, Sarah Foster, all these people coming out of the woodwork to call out Karen Bass, Gavin Newsom, this horrendous, you know, leadership, right? So all I have to say to kick it off to you is, where the flying fuck has this been for literally, I don't know, 7+ years? Like, does it take this for everyone to have this come to Jesus reckoning, awakening? Like, why has this taken so long? Where has everyone been?
That is such a good question, because I just even saw before I came on that Whoopi Goldberg has had the might to say that these fires would have happened regardless of whoever was mayor and whoever was governor of California.
Of course.
That it's just the wind and you can't blame the wind. It's like, are you insane? If it was a Republican mayor, they would have been absolutely slamming him, as they did to Ron DeSantis, even though Ron was actually very capable when a lot of the stuff happened over in Florida. So it's just this sort of blame game for no good reason. And people like Khloe and Whitney are getting absolutely slammed by the mainstream media for their comments. And we actually do need to point fingers at people during this situation, because there's been record incompetence. That's why. We had a lot of DEI. I mean, I was reading an article from 2022, which was saying that basically the LAFD did a program which was all about DEI and saying that basically we don't want your white male firemen at all. Well, I think they might want those white male firemen right now while they're struggling because they have literally no numbers. And then, there are all these other they're not conspiracy theories, but they're theories about where the water is, why LA wasn't prepared. And they're pointing to their leaders, and their leaders have no answers. I mean, I'm sure a lot of people must have seen that video from Sky News where the reporter is asking the mayor, asking the mayor a couple of questions. Hey, do you feel accountable to this? What are your feelings towards the situation? And she's just hanging her head almost in literal shame and not responding.
An apology for being absent while their homes were burning. Do you regret cutting the fire department budget by millions of dollars, Madam Mayor? Have you nothing to say today?
Can you back up? Appreciate it.
Have you absolutely nothing to say to the citizens today?
Where is the leadership right now? Seriously, it's making LA look like a joke. It's making it look like a town full of hires. I mean, the 3 people in charge of the LA Fire Department are lesbian women called Kirsten. You can't make this comedy up. And to be fair to Kirsten Crowley, who's the chief, she did slam the mayor and say, "Hey, you took our $18 million away from us. What was this about?"
I saw. Yeah.
This department was asked to take a $17 million budget cut.
That is correct.
How does that affect your department?
It impacts our ability to provide service. Absolutely.
The whole thing is, sorry to use the analogy, but a dumpster fire in itself.
Oh, completely. And there's things that, I mean, the Whoopi Goldberg thing is so to be expected, right? And I do agree that like it almost was a perfect storm, no pun intended, like 100-mile-an-hour winds, all this, all that. But I have a hard time believing, and I'm not even like hard right, but I could never see this going down under the watch of like a DeSantis. Like this shit would never fly there, right? So it is complete incompetence. And then you have like, did you see that video? You talk about the one of the mayor like literally turning into Helen Keller and being blind and mute at once. So like, hello, is that right? Home? And Gavin Newsom, the one where this woman is pleading like, I have children, like what is going on? And he literally is so lacking empathy and just so slimy in the worst. Like he can't even offer anything.
Yeah, he's like, I've got to go to my reservation at Nobu. I'm sorry, lady.
Oh no, literally, like the French, what is it? French Laundry 2.0 is calling me. Like,
yes,
it's
correct.
just absurd, and it really sort of bothers me. I mean, this is why you and I were talking about this prior. Why I left LA during the pandemic, because the writing was on the wall. And I always say, like, it's such a shame that the politics ran it into shit, because it is the most beautiful place, and it was my home. But I truly don't understand, even like a Whitney Cummings, right? Smart, who I love Whitney. I think her comedy is like genius. Even beyond this issue, she's come out recently, sort of in the same vein, being like this, again, this like revelation being like, you know, the left destroyed speech and comedy and all this. And like, I don't want to throw her under the bus, but again, I'm like, these are smart people. We're dealing, you're a smart lady. Like, how are you just fucking seeing this now?
Yeah,
I don't understand it.
They only see it when it's literally right on their doorstep.
I guess so.
That's the problem with a lot of the left and this sort of woke virtue signaling that they do until it's right there in front of them, you know, with migration, with climate change, with all these different things. And I think that it will be a big awakening for LA. I think it had problems before. I mean, Skid Row, homelessness, crime, things not being reported correctly, and then a lot of different institutional issues going on there. And then this, I think, is the last straw for this city. I think that LA will almost turn into like a swing state, and we're going to see probably political change. I mean, I'm an outsider, so take everything I have with a grain of salt, but I just think that people are going to want a real shift after this, and the people that are in the closet about their political ideologies and views are going to come out and vote in the next election against this ridiculousness.
It is complete nonsense. And I took a look at budget allocation and why so much was cut for the fire department, and like, listen, I love a good Freddie Mercury, Liza Minnelli, like gay theater moment. But the fact that you have budget slashed from this and given to fresh needles and syringes on the anarchy, literally, of Skid Row to like gay theater and like, I would just be absolutely livid, right, if I were them. So
yeah, it's robbing Peter to pay Paul. It's it really is. And it's the incompetency of people who actually don't know what they're doing and might have been given the job not based on merit, but based on other things, making these massive decisions. And then now we see the consequences.
Yep. So before we get into the big kahuna and finale of giving the people what they want of the Baldoni Blake Lively gift that keeps on giving, it seems like another gift that maybe keep on giving is, you know, the mindset that just dies hard, which is the eat the rich. And we're seeing that happen even right now. And even like, I don't know if you saw this, but like Mandy Moore got shit because she was promoting a GoFundMe for her in-law who lost their house.
I did.
And then of course the Meghan Markle, photo op of it all, which I know you have thoughts on. So, okay, two things here. I know you have thoughts on the phony, like most unlikable person on the planet, Meghan Markle, which I agree. Speak to that, but Samara, also speak to if you could see any, like playing devil's advocate, giving these people who maybe want to help, even if they're elite, whatever it is, like any morsel of benefit of the doubt, if you see any.
Absolutely. Like, I don't wish badly upon anyone. I feel really, really terrible. As someone who is an Australian myself, we deal with bushfires, and it is the great equalizer because you lose everything. And I also think people are being very harsh on creatives. Creatives are not just dripping in money. And a lot of people do not have insurance or got it taken away from them. And it's not just about the scrubbing of, their expensive possessions that they could just buy back. I still see them as artists, and I think that there's a lot of valuable stuff that's been lost in that. Even I was hearing testimonials from celebrities of, losing family photos, and that's kind of, they feel the erasure of their family memories, and you can't knock someone for that. And I don't even blame people for putting GoFundMe's up. I know that Demi Moore actually said, hey, like, I've donated my bit. I've donated as much as I can. This was just, to help my family. So I think we can't have ill intentions for everyone. I think the eat the rich thing kind of goes a little bit too far sometimes if we forget about the town, the working actors town. And there's a lot of calls to cancel all the events that are going on in LA. You're going to have, this is award season right now. And I think people are really, where do you stand on that? I feel like people are very divided about it.
It's funny because I'm getting emails every 5 seconds. That's like, because I still get all these press releases and all that.
Yeah, you're one of the best in the business.
And thank you. You're so, oh my gosh, I'm going to bring Samara with me everywhere. Like,
no, you really are.
Make you like a chat GPT sidekick and be like, Samara, make me feel pretty and smart.
Anytime.
You're so sweet. And it's so mutual. I feel really mixed because I talk about this often. It's sort of like with LA, and I'm guilty of this too. It's like damned if they do, damned if they don't. I'm getting emails all the time that like this Writers Guild award ceremony is canceled. This is postponed, this, that. So at one end of it, I'm like, it'd be nice to have a distraction, but if they had they'll get slammed for being tone deaf. If they have no chill in them whatsoever, that's the unfortunate thing. Like if they were able to just be chill and real and human and not a robot for 5 seconds, like don't invite Meghan Markle for this endeavor, but like do something somewhat, you don't need to be wearing a whatever designer gown to whatever gala. Like that's out of touch and tone deaf. So if they were to do something, make it more down to earth, but I think that would break their brains. I don't think they're capable. So I think it's sort of like a lose-lose.
Totally. I mean, speaking of damned if you do and damned if you don't, Meghan Markle, I mean, I'm going to give you a rare bit of pause here. I do think they would have been damned if they did and also damned if they didn't do that. I'm going to call it a pack walk. I mean, they drove 200 miles to get to a place where they knew they were going to be photographed. So I think that Harry and Meghan showing up to the crime scene or the scene of the terrible thing that happened to the LA residents and almost using it as some sort of PR stunt, I just think was sickening. But I expect nothing more from Meghan Markle. I just think that now she said that she's postponing her cooking show being released next week. But I think that it's just another PR stunt off back of the other one that she pulled this weekend to increase this sort of tension of when it's going to come out and what it's going to do. But that's just my thoughts.
I have to tell you, I have very mixed feelings about Candace Owens, but her take on this Meghan Markle, like how she is the most non-human, unlikable person, and her Netflix show is literally Pulitzer worthy. Like, I recommend everybody go watch it because it is so genius. But speaking of Shameless from Meghan Markle, do you know, Samara, that apparently Blake Lively's team served Justin Baldoni's team papers literally in the, like, as soon as the clock struck first evacuation in LA, like,
wow.
shameless. So I know you and I think we share similar sentiments about this. I don't think I've spoken on my show since all the Baldonis, his attorney went on Megyn Kelly and released all the, in my opinion, just heart-wrenching, devastating texts between him and his editors about like how their entire
and the voice note.
And the voice note, not the voice note, like how their whole creative endeavor and labor of love was just squashed. And I've talked and attested to like my experience with Justin Baldoni. So what do you make of this whole thing, how it'll play out? I know you've been vocal about it, and what's just so effed about it?
I mean, there's so much that's fucked up about it. In terms of how it will play out, I think we need to it's going to take a leaf from the Amber Heard Johnny Depp playbook. In a way, I mean, I am really team Baldoni, but I also think that he's a big ego, and they both are, and they've clashed because of that. And she's obviously definitely the more powerful mean girl that was constantly on the set, ruining everything, in my opinion. But how it's going to play out is messy. I mean, Baldoni's lawyer going on Megyn Kelly in the first place is a very interesting move. You know, it's not something that you would typically see. We didn't see Johnny Depp's lawyers kind of doing that until after the case. He seems like he's really ready to fight. He said that they're going to release every single text message on a forum online so that the public can decide who's guilty and who's not. So it's really going to be a trial by the media and a trial by the people as the jury. And I think it's just going to be absolutely messy. I think Blake's reputation will really struggle to recover from this. I think Justin will come out looking better because there is more context to the story. And I do think that Blake, before It Ends With Us, had a terrible reputation. She had people like Armie Hammer, who I know also doesn't have a great reputation.
Poor Armie.
Yeah, I know. I met him when he came in on 50 Years Smoking. He's actually like a lovely guy, but that's a story for another day.
That was a big interview.
It was.
That was a big interview.
It was real reputation rehab. He was really nice, actually, and his team around him was nice, which I don't know what, like, I won't get into that here. That divides a lot of people, but Baldoni didn't have any enemies before. Blake did. People said she was extremely hard to work with. Directors, actors, etc., all said she was a diva. She was a nepo baby from day one in Hollywood, so she always had that on her side.
I just discovered that in light of all this. I had no idea. Yeah.
She kind of covered it up well. I think she kind of came across as like this girl from Boston or something who's just like come in and made it in Hollywood. That's not true. She had deep connections in the industry, which I'm not going to hold against her, but it gives her a certain amount of clout above people like Baldoni, who is sort of more of the people who really came up from the dirt into Hollywood.
It's like this traveling pants of nepotism in the case of Blake Lively. And I just feel like with all of this, right, as we close, Samara, it's like, what happens again when you throw people, like I said, under the bus, or, go for these virtue signally, whatever it is, like virtues, at their expense. Like, I feel like with this, you see people who are like, oh, well, the cast and the writer were Team Blake. And I'm thinking to myself, okay, this is a woman who wrote a franchise that includes domestic violence, all this. Everybody's saving an ass and saving face, saving their own ass. Like, how would it make this woman look if she was like, I'd be like, look, I don't know, I'm staying I'm Switzerland. I'm going to see the facts play out. But of course she jumps to Blake Lively's defense because she's probably thinking, how's it going to make me look? I have a whole thing starting the conversation about DV on a global scale, and I'm not going to have her back. So it's unfortunate because it's almost like what you said. It's a version of like who's best for the job, who's telling the truth, who's whatever. And it's like all of these things are negated for the, the equality of it all.
Yes,
I guess.
totally, Taylor. And you bring up such a good point as well. We forget that, yes, all these, it was a smear campaign against her, blah, 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 but she still did these things like launch the hair care brand during the film about domestic violence, promote her alcohol brand, bring Deadpool into it, and try and create some sort of Barbenheimer thing 2.0, which did not get off the ground because it makes absolutely no sense to promote the two together.
No.
And we also forget that, she said that she had all this, she was like a shrinking violet, and she was sexually harassed and everything like that. And of course, we won't know the truth until the full court case.
Yeah.
But she was the most powerful person on set by a mile. And she also had her extremely powerful billionaire husband, Ryan Reynolds, there as well. So it really, really baffles me when I think, oh, she had all these moments where she easily could have said something. She also had 2 different occasions where she could have walked off the set because they had 2 different strikes. So she could have just not returned to the film if it was really that bad. But she didn't, which really makes me think there's some holes in this story.
I am so sus about this the whole thing is so sus to me. Kind of to cap it all off, because I sadly have to let you go. You're such a doll. You're so, like I said, so smart, so fun, and so fast. What do you, as a, thinker, writer, pundit, journalist, if you will, which that in and of itself is, a whole thing. Like what even is a journalist anymore? But what about, like someone eradicating the view. Thank you very much. No, but
someone with a phone and TikTok, I've learned to.
Exactly. What grinds your gears about all of this? Like in 60 seconds, I know it's a big question, but what grinds your gears about all of this, and where do you hope to see it all go? Because people like the naysayers will be like, okay, when it's all, solved, so to speak, like you guys will be able to, what will you have to rag on and talk about and complain about, or, pick on, whatever. So where do you see it all going?
As a journalist, the New York Times journalist who wrote that piece, Megan Twohey, she exposed Harvey Weinstein and she galvanized the Me Too movement. What she's done now with this piece has taken women back, yes, I think, agreed. 10 years. And it basically delegitimizes any legitimate claims. And I'm not happy about that. They need to stop. They need to get off their woke virtue signaling asses and actually take a leaflet out of accountability and thinking, no, not every woman is there to be protected and is this, as I'm going to say it again, shrinking violet. Let's actually look at the facts before we just start slamming men at the sort of altar of public shame and the Me Too movement. And so I think that we need to really, really think twice before we start slamming people in the name of journalism.
Well said. I will say this. Don't believe all women unless it is Samara or Taylor talking about the news. Samara, could I get a last little, like, let your freak flag fly, like a little shake or a little like Samara moment on camera? Because I know, like you said, you are like, more refined on your show and on Talk TV. Like, is there a little like, you got the black to long hair.
I'm glad I fooled you. What do you mean? A hair flip?
Yeah, like anything like a sexy Samara moment. Oh, okay, yep. I saw a hair flip. I saw a little like boob shimmy.
I am incapable of being sexy. My partner will tell you that. Anyone in my life will let you know that there is not a shred of sexiness, but Taylor, you make up for it. So
I was gonna say what you just said, I can attest to it, is absolute fake news. You are beauty brains. So I so appreciate you. You are welcome anytime. Thank you so much, Samara. I appreciate it.
The pleasure is all mine. Thank you, Taylor.
Of course. Thank you. I'm going to end this and I will shoot you a message. Thank you so much.
Brilliant. Thank you for having me on. Oh my God, what a dream.